The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Los Angeles. Beautiful Los Angeles. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the finest experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I'm your host, Steve-O, and you know, people say, do you ever read our emails or our text? And I tell people I read every single one of them. We have our first expert today. I've gotten so many emails from the Los Angeles area asking us to add a show on neuropathy. Now, I've been doing this for 12 years, and all of a sudden, starting about a year ago, we started getting these calls for neuropathy, but most of my shows are already spoken for. We finally got an opening, and it was the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to get a show on neuropathy. So for all those people who wrote, and I just got text from some of you, we're going to be doing a show today on neuropathy. And I got to tell you, I lucked out. I found the best, the creme de la creme chiropractor, probably in the state of California. The clinic is Westside Wellness Center. I have got Dr. Jason Kelberman. Good afternoon, Jason.
Hi there. Glad to be here.
Well, I feel like this has been going on for months, waiting for the show to start, and I am so glad we're going to spend the next 20, 25 minutes talking about neuropathy. You and I had a conversation about it, and that's why I say I'm so lucky because you are so well versed. But before we start, tell people about yourself and your practice.
So for the last 15 years, I've been specializing almost exclusively in the care of peripheral neuropathy cases, and practiced for 40 years. So it's been my journey. I first got involved with it because I treated a ton of athletes, and I was treating a lot of feet. And as you do that with the public and you start to get older people, because neuropathy typically gets 20% of the people over 60. Okay, it's a large number, and that's why you're getting so many calls about this. It's getting to be more common. I suddenly had to start learning about it because all my patients were coming in with it. And that's kind of what started it. And then that was, 15 years ago. We had a certain amount of technology that we used. In 15 years, we have much better technology now. The results are incredibly better than we used to have. And it's been a long journey, and I'm happy to present with you today and let everybody know about what is available today so they don't have to suffer. Okay.
That is wonderful. You do a comprehensive consultation.
Absolutely.
You into kinesiology.
Right.
And you're actually offering for the first 10 people at only $79. You've never done that before because it's normally $295. And it's so cool that you're making this offer. So you really are about helping people.
Exactly. I want people to
pain.
get properly evaluated. It's that important. Okay. Because there are so many ways that you can get neuropathy. And if you don't get properly evaluated, you could just be barking up the wrong tree and wasting your time, energy, and money, of course. So
Well,
why don't we
tell
jump in,
people
because
what
20 minutes isn't
neuropathy
very
is.
long.
No, it's not. In fact, we did a show this morning in Dallas on neuropathy, and the guy called me right after the show and said, "I want to do it longer." So I could not believe how much there is just on this one subject. But we're going to get through it though, and you're going to be with us again next month. But tell people what neuropathy is.
So neuropathy is unfortunately a chronic degenerative disease. And like I said, it affects most people that are older, above 60. When we get a case in a younger person, it's usually either a diabetic case or a toxic syndrome. So let's just go through the five main categories first. Disease-based is at the top, and unfortunately, diabetes is number one there. But most people don't know that pre-diabetics, 50% of the pre-diabetics get neuropathy case. So that's not good. Everything that is incredibly difficult, like hepatitis, kidney dialysis, autoimmune, and guess what? COVID-19 has also created some unusual.
Oh, no.
Yes, and I'm happy to say that we've kind of figured out that component just recently, because there's a lot of new research going on in that. Second down the list is spinal related, lumbar stenosis, lumbar disc syndromes, lumbar degeneration, where you're basically crushing the nerves that are going down your leg. Okay, that's a bit more physical. Yeah. The toxic syndromes is next. Everything from mercury, lead, mold, environmental issues, anything that's in the air that you ate, that you're sleeping on, whatever. Some people are prone to this. And if you ask me who, I'll tell you the ones that are either pushing the envelope in what they do and eat, or ones that are genetically weak in removing toxins. And that's a genetic scenario, and we have a solution for that as well. Next down the list is drug-induced. Everybody needs to go to my website at westsidewellnesscenter.com and hit the contact button and go to forms. You can get a list of 68 drugs that cause nerve damage. Okay.
Wow.
That's a good place to start. All right.
That's scary.
A big one. Unfortunately, at the top of that list is chemotherapy. But I'm happy to tell you that in all the chemotherapy-induced neuropathies that I've handled, we have a 92% success rate. So in all of this, the thread that I'm going to try to get to everybody is the sooner you get into some kind of treatment, the better your result's going to be, because it is a chronic degenerative disease. It doesn't just go away, which unfortunately a lot of us, tend to hang out thinking it will. So the two main things that I want to get across is typically peripheral neuropathy comes on slow and gradual, and you may notice a little tingling or a little numbness, and then it leads to pain, burning, and difficulties balancing and walking, etc. Just so you know, if you're going to call in, we don't accept people who are already in wheelchairs. All right, it's too late. I cannot help those. It's too far gone. We don't have that technology just yet, but I'd imagine in 10 or 15 years we will. But most other people we can help, and part of the evaluation process is just that. Is it a mild, moderate, or severe case? Is it one that we can really help you with? These are questions that we need to answer by properly examining you. And if we can, we'll let you know that in detail and work that out with you. Some people have nutritional deficiencies that causes nerve damage. All right. The most common is B12, but there are many. In fact, many people who are taking necessary drugs will also have a nutritional deficiency because of those drugs. Your classic one that you see online every day is taking a statin drug for cholesterol, and you need CoQ10. All right. By the way, that's a large dose, 300 to 400 IUs a day. So that's just a sample of how that goes. So that's why it's important to do it right, get all the parameters. And by the way, here's the interesting thing. You can have multiple of these causes at the same time. Let me say that again. Wow. You can be in lumbar stenosis and diabetic and high blood pressure and all these things going on. And unless you treat them, you're not going to get the results that you deserve. So that's pretty much how it is. And since I touched on blood pressure, blood pressure and diabetes are probably the two most damaging issues that we have. Blood pressure, because it actually damages the arteries that deliver blood to the nerves, right? And the same thing with diabetes. You're not supposed to have sugar in your bloodstream that long. It damages the lining of the arteries, which, by the way, can be helped and resurrected through proper nutrient. We have new technology on that. But unless you treat all of it, you're just going to get some of the results, okay? Those are the five main categories. And again, if you're a young person and you're having it, it's either diabetes or toxic syndrome. If you're older and it come out slow, that's fairly common. If you're older and it hits you hard, okay, not a good sign. You want to jump on that immediately. Do not wait, because that usually means that this is going to be a very severe case quickly. Okay.
You mentioned mold.
Yep.
I know we do a mold show in Los Angeles, and because it's on the water, they are so busy. There's a lot of mold in the Los Angeles area, especially
in Marina del Rey and Malibu, all the areas that get wet. And it comes into partially into the city as well. That's not one of the highest causes that I see, but it does come up. And if you have a case where they are diabetic and stenosis and mold, well, okay, if you don't treat the mold under that circumstance, again, you're not going to get the result you want, because all of these conditions steal your energy. All right. Kind of my concept on the human body after all these years is, if your body has enough energy to function its immune system, digestion, etc. By the way, the immune system is your digestive system. Okay. You're going to do better than if you don't. The highest problem that we see in all these cases is typically liver and kidney related. Okay. We don't usually see type 1 diabetics very often. That's, a problem with the pancreas not developing enough insulin. So you need that the rest of your life. And we do see a lot of type 2 diabetics, which, by the way, used to be called late onset diabetes. My grandfather had his toes and legs amputated when I was just a young tot. And so I couldn't help him then, but I can help you now. I have a 100% success rate at saving feet from diabetes, okay? Whether it's diabetic ulcers or diabetic neuropathy. So you do not have to lose a toe or a foot, all right? But you do have to get on it right away. You can't wait till it gets gangrene and, into that kind of a desperate situation. So the moral of the story is, get on it early as you can. Don't wait, okay?
I know people are probably going, so what kind of symptoms do I look for?
Well, there are two types, and I'm going to make a generalization as to the two major types of neuropathy. I'm going to keep it really simple because there's a lot of crossover. I'm just going to use large fiber and small fiber as a guideline. Small fiber is more diabetes associated. Large fiber is more spine related. When you have spine related issues, you're going to have more numbness and tingling. In fact, sometimes that's all you get. You just get numb and tingling, and your balance goes off and you have trouble. And unfortunately, 20% of that same age group falls, and that's a big problem, okay? So the small fiber gives you burning, cramping, pain, all right? They're not exclusive. There's a lot of crossovers. A diabetic can have both, but typically diabetes creates the pain, burning, cramping, or a disease process will do the same. And the spinal usually creates more numbness and tingling. Not exclusive. There's always exceptions. That's kind of how we are as humans. There's always an exception. Okay. Does that fully answer your question?
Yeah, we just got our first text of the show. They want to know if, we have an old, like you and I talked, we have an older demographic.
Sure.
And they said, I've been having dizzy spells, balance problems. Could that be neuropathy?
Possibly. That's why it's important to get correctly checked. It could be a number of other things as well, but that is and are some of the symptoms.
let's talk about, so you've diagnosed it. Now, what do you do next?
Okay. So I'm going to go back to my first intro, treating athletes and feet. What occurred to me somewhere along the line was that there was a complete lack of rehab for your feet. Complete. Go to any gym, say, hey, I want to strengthen my feet. What do I do? Good luck. Go to a physical therapist, go to an acupuncturist, go to a chiropractor, go to anybody and say, how am I going to get my feet strong enough because my balance is terrible? And you're going to be given a variety of different exercises that probably won't give you the result that you want. So being a kinesiologist, I decided to develop one. All right. I started out with a basic concept. I worked with podiatrists, engineers, chiropractors. I worked with everybody. And I came up with a basic form that I perfected over the last 8 years that's getting ready to go to production. It's not in full production yet, but it is amazing. Okay. It's now part of what I call home care. So most of the time we can do what I call a 90-day transformation on people. And in 90 days, things are really changing. And at that point, I like to start home care because you're going to be with this disease chronically for the rest of your life, basically. And the more we can do at home, the less they need to come in for. So this is part of my home care. It's the world's first biomechanically correct foot strengthening device. As the podiatrist told me, he says, we've been kind of wanting something like this for years. And here you are as a chiropractor making it. Why didn't the podiatrist come up with this? Right. And so I guess this ended up as my calling. You know, if I'm going to be famous for something in my life, it's going to be for developing the first foot strengthening device. And it's amazing because what happens with neuropathy is it affects the nerves. The nerves affect the muscles, and then the muscles are going to they're going to not support you the way that you should. And the muscles in the feet control 3 arches. I know most of you think there's just 1 arch in the foot, but there are actually 3. So we can strengthen that, restore that in almost all cases. All right. If you come in a wheelchair, not going to happen. But otherwise, we can restore the strength and function of your feet so you can start walking better, longer without pain, sleeping through the night, balancing. I still don't recommend everybody goes up on roofs after age 50. Okay. But so when I said balancing, I wanted to make that clear. We're not doing gymnastics. We're giving you your lifestyle back. Okay. The one that you used to just go to the store if you wanted to and walk and feel comfortable that you're not going to fall. All right. So I'm thrilled to do that. You could say that as I got a little older, I saw more of my age group coming in, and I'm okay with that. Really okay with that. I'm happy to be able to help people live their lives better, longer, happier.
You know, we to begin, well, before the show came on, I was just complimenting Tim. The things that chiropractors do now, it's not just whiplash. You guys are so far ahead of and this, Tim, I did not know neuropathy was such a big problem, and especially our show because we've got older demographics.
We're going to have to do a whole show on that because there's a reason for that, and we can go off on a tangent real easy for 20 minutes there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what about the balance issue? What causes that?
Where does balance come from? So there's a mechanism in our feet that we call proprioception. What the hell does that mean? That means when your foot hits the ground, your brain gets stimulated into turning 27 muscles on the moment your foot touches the ground. You learn this when you crawl as a child, and then you develop it as you get a little bit older. But that it's part of our neurologic makeup. And when your feet nerves dysfunction, the muscles dysfunction, that whole communication process to your brain is dysfunctional. Okay. And so nothing works quite the way it's supposed to. And everything is not taken into consideration. So the foot power system has been incredible at restoring proprioception and getting balance back. We do other things as well, but that's a main part of what we do, because if you can't strengthen your feet up, your balance is still going to be lower than you want it to be.
So you developed this foot power. Why is it helping so many people?
The bottom line is this: our feet were meant to be on bare, soft ground, right? We weren't created in shoes. We weren't created on concrete. If you look at how the shoe works, let's see if I can get this correct for you. When you walk, you're supposed to be able to make this motion, and we call it plantar flexion. When you walk, it's the exact opposite. Okay. So without being able to grip, and that's why you see all these new shoes out there, individual toe shoes and that kind of thing, they're trying to get back to using your entire foot. And I'm a big fan, except not on concrete. So the years, decades, centuries that we have been unable to walk on soft ground has led us to this situation where we tend to have weaker feet. And if you don't use them when you're younger, you're not going to use them when you're older. So, but foot power helps to restore that function. Happy to tell you that.
What about these people who do all this walking, especially when they get older, and they're walking on sidewalks and all that pounding? Is that bad for you?
I get that a lot. And I'm going to tell you, when your feet dysfunction, walking is not in your best interest. You'd be better off getting on a bicycle, getting in a pool, doing exercise on a bench, getting your body moving in any other way possible. And that's one of the reasons why Pilates is so good, by the way, because it's non-weight bearing, right?
That's
so
right.
There's a lot of other exercises you can do where you're not on your feet demanding something of them that they cannot deliver yet. Okay. Once you can, no problema. Okay.
Can you look at somebody's feet and tell if they have neuropathy?
Good question. Visually, if there's discoloration, you could probably make that assumption, but otherwise just visual inspection is not enough. You need to test the nerves, you need to test the muscles, you need to look at all the other factors. I wish there was another way, but
yes, right.
Yeah.
What about dietary changes?
That's another whole show with you as well. If I had
I warned you, Tim.
If I had to make one recommendation, it would be to stop eating sugar and crap. Okay. And what I mean by crap is anything that has chemicals that wasn't grown. Okay. I was having a talk with one of my patients who was born in Africa, and he's got diabetes now. And so I said to him, how did you eat at home? They grew their own vegetables. They killed their own chickens. It couldn't have been any healthier than that. Okay.
Right.
It's only when you come to the United States where we have fast food and sugars in everything. Go to the supermarket and read labels. You're going to see it's in everything. They put it in hot dogs. They put it in everything imaginable. And this is because they know everybody likes it and is addicted to it, and they want to sell product, but it's not healthy for you. A little is good. Okay. We weren't meant to have dessert every night of the week. Okay. It's supposed to be a special treat. So, more fruit, less ice cream.
Well, the name of the practice is Westside Wellness Center. And you are kind enough to offer our listeners a special. Tell them about that.
So we wanted to get everybody a proper evaluation. It's that important. This is what makes my heart sing, is getting somebody who's suffering and giving them their life back. I see it every day in the practice. This is why I do what I do. This is why I'm still practicing. This is why I spent all the time learning. And by the way, I've taught across the country. I share information with docs across the country. We have a network of people that stay on the cutting edge so that we can bring you the best possible treatment for peripheral neuropathy.
Well, I got to tell you, I told you it goes by fast, but you'll be back again with us next month. The phone number for those, we've been scrolling it during the show, but for those who are listening on radio or podcast, the phone number is 310-268-8008. It's 310-268-8008. You might have a relative that might have this.
Exactly.
And you might want to, they can go back to iHeart and watch this show. Tim, I can't thank you enough. But we will. The good news is we'll see you again next month.
Pleasure. Look forward to it. Thanks for having me on, and thank you everybody for listening.
That's Jay. I can't believe I was calling him Tim because I had a Tim this morning. His name is Dr. Jason Kelberman. Dr. Jason Kelberman. And the name of the practice is Westside Wellness Center. And if you're in the Los Angeles area, you definitely want to give him a call. Thank you, Jason. And we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we'll have our next expert.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests. Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.